the students is profitably used. But then practice. So we have all the time been saying you have to go to the industries, work with the industries, work with the market, work with the realities that you're going to experience after you pass out. But the students wouldn't move out, the faculty wouldn't move out. Of course, a few had the flair to do it, but all of them were bound to their labs and so on. But now I think the curriculum, when it's offered online, they get the theory online, and they have the opportunity to learn from other courses like Coursera, MOOC courses, and so on, and get the best. As the university says, all right, we'll give you credits for everything that you learn online. And then they go to the market. They need not necessarily come back to the campus to do it. Of course, campus learning is unique because they get an identity with an institution and so on. But for learning, they can go right where they are, get into an industry, and they get practical education, which they would not get, which they did not get till now. And they are ready for the market. And I'm seeing more entrepreneurs coming out through this system of education. They will be ready for the market, and we'll have IPs coming out, intellectual capital increasing, and the nation blossoming. And as a result, and skill, they get the skill right where they are. But of course, the universities, we do not know what's going to happen to the hostels, what's going to happen to the infrastructure. And for that, we are working on turning the university itself into an industry. Instead of just having labs which are age old, maybe 20 years old, 10 years old, and just practice there, we bring the industry to the campus and give them space to set up their own research labs and so on. And the students, even the curriculum, we are advocating an engineering degree should have a student producing an IP or a product, and the university helps them to commercialize the product, and then help them to be a startup when they leave the university. And the industries tie up with them and commercialize the product and produce it. So this way, the campuses, if they can become part of the industries, and industries work with the campuses, it's going to be a great new world for university education. I believe this is going to be the future for the university.
Thank you, Dr. Paul Dhinakaran. You said many things. Some echoed the sentiment that Professor Singh said in his opening remarks. You talked about how I would use three. One, it was not in vogue. It was not mainstream. It was not taken seriously. Now it's being taken seriously. Second is you talked about the focus on bringing out entrepreneurs. And third, you talked about turning universities into real labs for innovation and in terms of bringing new product and IPs. And, you use the word converting educational infrastructure into industry. I think US has produced the kind of companies and entrepreneurs and ideas it has produced because of the real nature of the labs, incubators on the campuses. I think online will enable that even more. Technology is the heart of this discussion we are talking because we're used to doing business in a certain way, getting education in a certain way, but COVID is forcing us to use technology and discover the benefits of technology that we never discovered because we didn't use it enough. So we cannot have a discussion about the University of Future without having an ad tech player, a person who's bringing technology to universities as part of the conversation. We have Raghav Gupta from Coursera. Raghav, you heard the UGC chairman in his opening remark. You heard an institutional builder in Dr. Paul Dhinakaran. What are your opening comments?
Thank you, Anurag. For me personally, it was really encouraging to hear what Professor Singh said and the picture Dr. Paul painted. I'd like to make 3 points in my opening remarks to get started. One, I think before we talk about education, I think it's important we talk about jobs because the job market is completely changing.
Charu did, in her questions, she will take Charu did talk about scalability and employability right up front.
Absolutely. And I want to say this, McKinsey and Company came out with a report in April about the impact of COVID on jobs. And I think it's a pertinent report for all of us to be talking about. They'd earlier come out with a report which said that technology, and this is pre-COVID, technology is going to impact those jobs that have lower levels of education. And the April report says that COVID will have, again, the hardest impact on jobs which have low levels of education. So industries which are retail, hospitality, travel, especially the gray collar, blue collar workers will have very, very adverse impact. And the importance of education is going up because the kind of jobs that are going to be available in the future will have, for example, a digital element to them, will have a data element to them. And so the importance of higher education is expected to go up. And I think most of us might see merit in that and see logic in that. I think the second thing which is good to call out is pre-COVID in the higher education space, the adoption of online education globally, including India, was to the extent of possibly around 2 to 4%. So of all the students who get degrees in the world, if you take that share of online degrees, or if you take the share of students learning online, it was 2 to 4%. But a lot of what was happening on platforms like Coursera was actually learning for working adults. So adults, who are in the workplace were coming to platforms like Coursera, which they're continuing to doing, and were learning because, the world is changing and skilling, upskilling, reskilling, whatever we want to call it, was happening on the platforms such as ours. But now, and we've all seen this, that from 2, 3, 4%, campuses have been forced to move to 100% online. Some of that is what is called remote live teaching, so a faculty member teaching on Zoom, MS Teams, Google, so on and so forth. And some of it is using MOOC platforms like Coursera, like Swayam, and so on and so forth to also teach as well. So we've seen a big shift. I think the question that will be good to talk about is how much of this will stay once we start, once campuses start to open. Lockdown may go away, but social distancing will stay. So what will happen then? And third, I'd like to share some of the data that we are seeing on Coursera because it might be helpful for this context, because we are the world's largest higher education platform. So on a platform which is 60 million learners, 6 crore learners around the world, of which India is the second largest market, in the last 30 days, our usage has gone up 1400% in India. On a platform, we've seen a 1400% increase on our platform. In October last year, we launched a platform called Coursera for Campus. We launched it in India for the world. And this platform is designed for colleges and campuses to bring Coursera to their students, to their faculty, and so on. Pre-COVID, there were 30 universities in the country using this platform. We made this available for free since the middle of March. And right now, there are 3,000 universities and colleges in the country that are using the platform. The platform is available for free till the end of July. And we need to see what will happen once that changes. But I think the kind of adoption of online that we have seen is staggering. And some of the feedback that we are getting is, we hadn't tried this out earlier, but now that we have experienced what high quality online education can be, we are very pleasantly surprised. And while the lockdown is forcing us to use online, but after we start getting out of the lockdown, what is that percentage that will stay online? That is, I think, an interesting discussion for us to have.
Thank you,
I'll
Raghav.
stop with that.
Thank you for those opening comments and being specific and bringing the future of skilling and jobs, because as, continuing education, new certifications, new skills, your courses are in that sense comprehensive, will determine how we are able to really, as Charu said, bring the human capital into the mainstream through jobs or assignments or through workers in the gig economy with the right skills. Dr. Dheeraj Sanghi has also joined us from the Punjab Engineering College, Chandigarh. And I must tell you, Dr. Singh, that I didn't get admission into your university. I did try many, 30 plus years back, but I'm glad I'm talking to you today. And we'll get you soon. But I also wanted to bring in Dr. Prashant Bhalla, who's the Chancellor of the Manav Rachna University, and I've had the good pleasure of meeting him the same day. I met Professor D.P. Singh at at a Manav Rachna event. They celebrate the Founders Day every year. And I was lucky enough to meet Dr. Bhalla carrying on the legacy of his father. Dr. Bhalla, all yours for opening comments.
Thank you, Anuragji. First of all, I think I'd like to congratulate DP Singh ji, UGC, and I think the way the government has come forward and with all the initiatives that we are seeing coming in terms of supporting the higher educational institutions. So that has been really very positive in terms of a change that we have seen over the last few years in terms of how regulators have really become enablers, and they are the ones who are driving institutions for a big change that is actually needed. And I think the previous speakers also pointed out these are challenging times, and I think we all have really come together to really see how we come out of this situation. Thank you, Anuragji, for inviting me and to be part of this panel. I think if I start my discussion, I think why are we talking about this future universities? I think why there is a need to talk about future universities. I think the prime reason, if we start, is the changing work environment that we are seeing. I think Mr. Raghav mentioned about the McKinsey report, which talked about technology really becoming a big disruptor. And that is true for any other industry, but I think that's more true for education also. And I think this whole COVID-19 challenge that we all are seeing, I think that's one moment which I think every educational institution has experienced in terms of that report that was always being thought of. And for ages, I think we have been talking about disruption. We have been talking about usage of online. We've been talking about more and more usage of blended formats in our education. But I think this behavioral change that we see now in the way we have been able to deliver, I think this particular time of last 1.5, 2 months, it has been a great learning for all of us. And we have seen the boundaries between industry and academia blurring for some time. But I think if I look at one big thing, what we are looking at in the future university definitely is a point I think made by previous speaker also, that the industry focus and the industry involvement has to be much, much deeper and much greater in times to come. And the job and the employability aspect linked to it is obviously one big change that we would definitely need to bring in. And when we talk about the role of public universities, I think now is a time that we have to really look at continuous change, and we have to look at lifelong learning. We have to look at continuous learning, maybe co-learning with the industry and greater collaborations with them. Otherwise, I feel that in no time we would see that either students might opt out of university degree programs, and we already see a separate set of courses being delivered by specialized platforms which are more industry relevant, or which are more relevant to the current technologies which are being adapted by all. So I think that is something that I feel is a big change that we should see as universities, how we should be engaging with our learners, and what change we should be bringing in with terms of deliverables, how we have been doing things in the past. And obviously this learning has been good. I think the other bit the question that was being pointed around autonomy and the flexibility in bringing in the blended model, I think that autonomy basically exists with the university system, and that has been there with us for quite some time. It's just about a behavioral change that I mentioned, maybe in terms of usage. Though the government has been always motivating and promoting, there has been a 20% cap that was put in by UGC of a usage of Swayam platform when it was announced, and it has excellent content in terms of the best faculty really who have pitched in terms of giving them support, the institutions, whoever needs it. But I think one big challenge been seeing in our country has been the affiliating system, which obviously has been a big challenge for institutions, since they are driven by academic benchmarks of the parent universities with whom they are affiliated with. I think for them, bringing in these changes and bringing in these collaborations have always been a problem. So I think in the new education policy also, we have been talking about giving greater autonomy, looking at affiliating institutions becoming autonomous institutions. So I think once that happens, I personally feel we will be in for a big change that is actually needed in terms of universities having that flexibility and that kind of change. Whatever they want to do, it's always there, and there has been no such restriction in doing anything new. When I talk about the aspect of technology and I think internationalization, that was another bit that I think the point that got raised. I think definitely all the universities are looking at global rankings, global accreditations, and we all have been trying to benchmark ourselves with the best of the world. And I think that's been the focus. And obviously, the way we think is look at things about global competition and the way the boundaries don't exist now. And with this challenge of today, maybe we don't know what next is going to emerge. But I believe that universities are going to stay, and the teacher's role shall be paramount. Their importance is going to stay. Their role in community, their role in society, whether the role in terms of one point that came in with respect to the startups and being able to help build the whole community of innovators. I think all those things are going to stay, but the roles and the responsibility will change for sure. That's what I would like to.
Thank you, Dr. Bhalla. There are some comments and questions. For example, some people are talking about how effective is online. Some are talking about quality of courses in SWAYAM, and the beauty about digital, it democratizes. You all can see those questions and comments yourself. And while Charu has some very pointed questions, at this point I'd like to bring in Mr. M. Krishnan, who's the Vice-Chancellor of the Madurai Kamaraj University. It's a university that's been there for many, many years. And Mr. Krishnan, we'd welcome your initial comments and then come back to you for further inputs.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor T.P. Singh, Chairman UGC, and Dr. Annurag ji, and other panelists who are giving wonderful ideas and discuss about that future university. But before I have to come for the points what I want to discuss, I have to thank the UGC and other associates for giving wonderful opportunities for the universities, particularly higher education, for going for the different expertise lecture through the SWAYAM or MOOC. And we the e-libraries and so on and so forth. So universities are 4 years. Madurai Kamaraj University also happy to tell that we are also participating to prepare the lecture online for the different universities. But before I am coming to this one, I have to thank the COVID, because in the last 2 months, Madurai Kamaraj University particularly helping the people who were not affected directly by the COVID, because they are having so many problems like mental health, they are having sociological, society problem, and so on and so forth. What we have done, we have jointly collaborated with the NIMHANS Bangalore. You know that is a famous institute for the neuroscience and mental health. And also there is one famous private institution at Madurai. They are run by the psychiatrists, where the doctors are coming for the helping for the sociological problem under Madurai Kamaraj University. We all join together and train Madurai Kamaraj University students how to help the society where they are really afraid of this COVID-19. Even the people are affected by directly, they will take a society is not looking for some volunteers to encourage these people. We have to actually no need to worry about this one, but how we are going to develop your mental health to fight with that particular, I can say, the disaster like that. So Madurai Kamaraj University aimed to develop near about 5,000 volunteers within 1 or 2 months, because Madurai Kamaraj University has near about 100 more affiliated colleges, and we have 1 lakh students. So this is the thing we are preliminary doing, and the COVID-19 lockdown onwards. I want to say that this is also one step where my students will join with the society, to interact with the society, to help with the society. That is the way we started. You know that little away, I can have the discussion about that online teaching, because as I told that Madurai Kamaraj University is surrounded by 75 villages around, where all the villages are not technologically equipped very well. So when you are going for immediately online teaching, when we are testing, near about 60 to 70% of the students able to access the technology. It's very difficult to reach the teachers to go for that students by online. So what I can say that even our requester TP Singh, immediately you no need to go for the online 100%. We can go for the blended teaching, where we can join with some of the courses where they can come and personally they can have some experience. And also we can go for the online. So in the online, when we are coming, online is very good. I don't know doubt about it, because there are some good positive characters are there, where the great flexibility is there, autonomous is there, where the students, we can reduce the withdrawal of the students from a particular course. And we have that students will get more work, I mean, go to the more field work. These are the things we are getting it. But we all the panelists should think about it. How the students from the villages can reach, I mean, 100% to reach the online program. That is my first thing. Second one, when we are working for, particularly Madurai Kamaraj University, we have that very good biology, biotechnology, chemistry, and physics department. When we are going for the completely online, how we are going to solve the problem on practicals, how we are going to run that practicals when we are going for the online. Even now we are worried about it. For example, if you are going to start the classrooms now, all the classrooms are having only to accommodate 40 students, where we admitted 40 students. But how we are going to maintain the social distance? How we are maintaining the students where we are away from that, what you call the COVID attack or pandemic? So these are the things we are thinking. But at the same time, when we are going to introduce that online, we have to take care of some of the important points where the learning theories of Keller and his associates, what we can put the title called LOCAR, LOCAR. What I can say that we have to take care of live events, number one. Number two, online content should be available. Number three, collaboration should be there. Online, we can have more collaboration. Number four, A, for assessment should be there frequently. Number R, the last one, reference material should be provided properly for the students, those who are coming. Why our universities are not going for the universal ranking or international ranking? We are not taking our innovation. We are not taking our excellence to the society. So what our, online programs should give the importance to say that our curriculum to change in such a way that we have to take that excellence from the students. The excellence should bring the innovation. The innovation should go to the society. Then only we can succeed.
Thank you, Mr. Krishnan. I think you echoed similar sentiments as the UGC chairman. Charu, why don't you ask a couple of just before we bring in Dr. Sanghi, we have some questions for Professor D.P. Singh and Dr. Sanghi. We will definitely bring you in after this, and when we start the round again, we'll start with you and not with others. Charu, your question for Professor Singh.
So Professor Singh, there are several questions that are, I'll just try and combine them in one. So there is a lot of interest in when will there be 100% online universities. Of course, we heard Dr. Krishnan say because of inequity, teachers are not able to access, students are not able to access. But what about those who are able to access? Should we prevent them from the option of being, and there is another question which says, we are a digitally enabled global village. So can the students be given options to curate their own courses, including mentors and teachers? So while we understand there is a big delta amongst those who can afford to go online and those who can't, should we, prevent everybody from not being able to take advantage of online?
Actually, as you are aware, and it has been mentioned that we have a regulation called SWAM regulation 2016. As Dr. Bhalla mentioned about that 20% any university which is there, either ODL mode or the conventional universities, they can have 20% online content courses in different programs. But we are again in the wake of this COVID-19 and also looking into the facilitation of online education in the blended mode. We are also revisiting that provisions of that regulation, and most likely we are going to increase that content from 20% to some higher side. So that will provide new avenues for all the types of universities, all 993 universities and higher education, other institutions, to have the education in the blended mode. They can have face-to-face teaching, then they can have this program online. Besides that, as I mentioned earlier, that we are also revisiting the online regulation, which is again a new phenomenon. The online regulation came into framed was in 2018, and we are revisiting again. And in the light of the announcements made by the Honorable Finance Minister under the PM e-Vidya program to facilitate more universities, so we will have some new provisions to facilitate more universities to conduct the whole programs in the online mode. So they would be totally online programs, but they will be run by the universities which are conventional, which are open universities. Any university can have those programs. So that is a type of facilitation. And besides that, as far as I mentioned about the Swayam Prabha, and under that Swayam Prabha, by a group of 32 DTH channels, they are devoted to telecasting of high quality educational programs on 24/7 basis. And recently under this PM e-Vidya program also, one of the announcements includes that there will be dedicated channels for school education initially, but most likely in future, they will also include the higher education also. So we will have more facilities for the students who are there in the remote areas. And as Professor Krishnan and Professor Dhinakaran has mentioned, we will have both types of these things, blended mode of education, online education, and conventional education. But once again, we have the institutions and the faculty members have to build their capabilities, have to further strengthen their skills, sharpen their skills, and also whatever is required in terms of the facilitation of all these online and blended mode of education in the times to come. Dr. Batra, as I mentioned that I had to leave for a meeting. So
yes, you had. You had said 5:15 again. I want to ask you last question before I'm looking at all the questions that are coming, and I can see 23 questions already. Charu's asked you. I just want to ask, and I simplify. One is teacher, that is the heart. Then is the definition of infrastructure. Then is how examinations happen, and last but not least is in some way ranking the teachers, whether what is the kind of research they do, building capability. Now, how will the weightages of these change? You already said online from 20% you'll increase. What will change in the other parts? That's the only question I have. It's a combination of lots of questions that have come in. And some people are saying that Swayam can be better. I mean, I'm not saying it the way they are saying it, but they're giving some feedback on Swayam.
I agree with you. There are always chances of improvement and improvising on the basis of the inputs. But as of now, the already enrolled number of students goes to 1.60 crores. This is the recent figure, and the courses which are to be offered in the next semester number is 614, and already about 3 lakh students have enrollment in that, and this number is going to rise. So that indicates the popularity of the Swayam also. And besides that, also we have this PG Pathshala also, which is having about 24,000 modules in 70 subjects, which are high quality curriculum based interactive e-content, and which is available to everyone. And we are gearing up in these 2 institutions, where the CEC and Influminate, to provide more avenues, we have tasked this InfluNet for developing the learning management system for the university and to help our universities in that context. So this is the actually need of the hour, and I have full trust and faith and confidence in our faculty members, our higher education institutions. They will come to the expectations of the not only the academic fraternity but the country at large to serve our students, our learners in a better way. So, with these words, I thank Dr. Batra.
Thank you so much. And I'm sure you will through personal guidance to each of these stakeholders and in your role as the UGC chairman, and you're a pillar of the education system with your experience and your contribution to the industry. We look forward to more interactions with you, and being a BW Education being a catalyst in helping you in your mission of making sure the universities of future are global, world-class, and they bridge the digital divides and not create them. So thank you, Professor Singh, for being here, and you're being here added. You're being here added to the gravitas and content. Thank you so much. Namaskar. And
thank you. Namaskar.
So Charu, why don't you continue now with everybody else?
Yes. Dr. Sanghi, so there have been lots of views expressed on the University of the Future, and there are lots of views coming up in our chat. May I just pick up some, opinions from the chat to actually posit a question to you for your opening comments also. So while we talk of University of the Future, we look at online, or we look at technology, we look at disruption, but there is beyond, which actually makes up with the substance, not just the form, but the substance and content of education as well. So one of our audience has actually said that financial market skills or financial literacy. So that being according to some real world skills of with some real value. What in your opinion, and then of course there are opinion on industry, linkages, etc. So in your opinion, would you like to guide us? How will the University of the Future look like?
Okay, thank you very much. I come from an institute which is one of the oldest in this country, set up in 1921. So University of the Future, I first want to talk about its form, and then I'll come to curriculum and other things as well. I think we are seeing an unbundling of the university. Okay. Right now, university is one of the most complex beasts present on the world. You not only talk about teaching, learning, examination, and other education aspects. You also talk about research. You also talk about consultancy. But way beyond that, you talk about hostels. You talk about food. You talk about sports. You talk about entertainment. You talk about transportation. You talk about guest house and hotels. You talk about healthcare to students. I mean, you are doing too many things, and you're charging your students for everything, or you're charging government for everything, right? I think what we're going to see in future is unbundling. University can focus on education. Rest of the, somebody else can manage the campus, somebody can manage something else. And even within teaching and learning, even within education, people like Coursera are actually doing unbundling of even the basic stuff about education. That lectures are free, but examinations are not free, right? Or if you want access to the teacher, that's costlier. If you want access to a discussion with peer group, that's going to cost you separate. So even the education part, we are looking at as lectures is one thing, discussions with peers is another thing, discussion with teachers is another thing, examination, if it is just online MCQ, which the machine graded assignments is one thing, and so on. And I think this unbundling is going to be great because it's going to reduce the cost of providing education. People who need whatever component, they will take that. And this is also going to cause one more thing that I hope Chairman UGC was here. This is going to create an incentive for foreign universities to come in India in a huge way without any permission for government of India. What's going to happen is that foreign universities are going to just provide education online, and then somebody locally will provide so-called campus services, which have nothing to do with the university per se, right? So we are going to see a lot of change in form because of technology. Right? Now, in terms of curriculum, and you talk about industry linkage and other stuff, I think, I don't normally speak on this because my views are, if you talk to 100 people, I'm the only one who say like this. I think we shouldn't worry about industry linkages. Okay? The reason we shouldn't worry about industry linkages is we should first worry about teaching, right? So I'll give you an example. I'm from a computer science program. Now, if you teach a very old language, let's talk about Fortran, which was a popular language in 80s, right? You teach Fortran well.
Wait an hour.
He is a lot more important to industry than if you teach Python and the guy cannot write 20 lines of code. Okay. So today, when people say that industry linkage means you should teach Python, you are essentially avoiding accountability in the system. Because when an industry guy comes to me and says, your students don't know Python, he's lying. What he really wants to say is, I don't trust that your students can learn Python in a week. And these are two very, very different statements. Your students don't know Python versus your students cannot learn Python in a week. Right? If I can train my students to learn Python in a week, that's what you want as industry linkage. Not that they learn Python itself, because Python is going to change. My curriculum is decided before admissions, at least 1 year before admissions. So my first batch is going to graduate with a new curriculum is going to be 5 years from the day I decide my curriculum. I can put in a few electives in third and fourth year to make it more relevant, raise this thing and so on. But my basic curriculum is decided 1 year before the admission. So 5 years later, when he graduates, is this curriculum still relevant to the industry? So I think that relevance is being said only because we want to avoid any accountability in the system. I want to ask my teacher, why is this industry saying your students cannot learn Python in a week? Essentially, they are saying so because I taught them C++ and they can't write 100 lines of code in C++. That is the problem. Nobody's challenging that problem. People are saying, why are you not teaching Python? Right? So I think industry linkage is simply, industry linkage will be important after we know how to teach. Okay. Another point I want to make is this leveraging technology about internationalization. I think this is helping us greatly. Today, I don't have to bring somebody from abroad to give a lecture to my students. I don't have to bring students from abroad to have cultural immersion and so on and so forth. For example, just talk about Punjab Engineering College. We started in Lahore. Half the college in 1947 stayed back in Lahore. Half the college came to Chandigarh. I'm celebrating my 100 years next year. I want to have some things together. These two halves in Lahore and Chandigarh should be able to do things together. Today's political situation is that we can't really travel to each other's place. But I think technology is going to be great help in learning about each other, in doing joint courses. The faculty there can teach my student, the faculty here can teach their students, all these kinds of stuff. I think technology is really, really internationalizing our education very quickly. Places like Coursera, which is providing me education from all over the world, giving that access to my students, and that too for free right now. I think it's a great thing. Okay. I think that's all I will say right now. And if there are any questions, I will take them up.
Thank you, Dr. Dheeraj Sanghi. Taking a cue from what Dr. Sanghi said, a question to you, Raghav, is he said we should know how to teach, but in today's, and then we also talk about online. And very clearly, we seem to be relying a lot on independent learning and on self-study because of the COVID. So while live interactive sessions are happening, all these online courses, but students are depending a lot on independent learning, and our school system doesn't prepare us for it. Do you think that's going to be viable and not, result in students losing the learning perspective? What would be your take on that?
Sure. So Charu, I want to first say that online learning doesn't have to be independent, non-self-directed, and learning alone. As I was saying in my opening remarks, when Coursera is 8 years old, but Coursera for Campus was launched only in October last year. And so to have a platform which was the earlier version of the broader Coursera platform, where a student can come and for many, many courses, figure out what is relevant for them and then take a course and not get any credit for it, not get a certificate for it, that doesn't work for students. What works is that there is participation from the institution and from the online platform to deliver a learning experience which is quite aligned with what the campus is teaching, maybe having the faculty as a mentor, and also having content which is relevant to today's jobs. And let me explain with an example. I'm a mechanical engineer, and then I did an MBA, which many of us end up doing for whatever reason, but I am that. Now, many years ago, when I went and did mechanical engineering, one of the topics I learned is engineering drawing, but I didn't get any practical exposure on using that platform. Today, I can learn engineering drawing on my campus, possibly, let's say, at Dr. Sanghi's campus. And then the leading software for engineering drawing is Autodesk. I can come to Coursera and take a course on Autodesk on Coursera. And then I may also want to say, I now want practical experience on applying Autodesk to, let's say, the design of some kind of a machine. And today there's a project on Coursera, which we call a guided project, where I can actually apply, Autodesk without having to buy the software and learn on the actual software. Similarly, if I'm an MBA student and I did an MBA as well, I may want to say that I want to go and work in a bank once I graduate. And the one skill that I need to acquire if I want to go and work in a bank today is digital skills. Now, my institution may not be teaching me digital skills. My institution may not be teaching me blockchain. And so what can be a powerful combination is to say, I'm going to learn finance, I'm going to learn marketing, I'm going to learn strategy and so on campus. But I'm going to come to a platform like Coursera and learn blockchain, and not just from anywhere, but from INSEAD, which is a top business school. And so the quality of teaching, which Dr. Sanghi spoke very passionately about, can be high quality, and it can be aligned to what the workforce of today needs as well. And so I think this combination of learning on campus, learning online, also doing some guided projects with having faculty as mentors is a powerful combination.
I just want to ask you one more question. Now, I want some numbers from you. Suppose universities or students were taking your courses to 100 before March. Where is that number? Is it 200, 500, 1,000? Give us a granularity on numbers to show us the adoption increase.
Yeah, and so let me give you data for last year versus this year, Dr. Batra. In India, and I'm not talking elsewhere in the world, in India, in the last 30 days compared to the same 30 days last year, the usage on our platform is up by 1,400%.
1,400%.
These are not just students in colleges. These are working adults like all of us on this.
Professionals who are upgrading.
Professionals. 30% of these are students in colleges, like all the senior leaders who are on the platform today. And many of these are working adults as well. But the total usage is up by 1,400% compared to last year.
Fantastic. That's a 14 times. That's a whooping increase. Charu, I just wanted to get a perspective on the number. So has your remuneration gone up 14 times?
I wish. I wish. I also do want to say that it's coming off a large base, Dr. Batra. If this was, 100 learners, it went up to 1,400 learners, it would be inconsequential. But this is on a base of 76 lakh individuals in the country, in India, where the usage is going up by that much.
You have a very,
You're
thank
saying
you.
it has almost been, that's a headline, Upasana, that's a headline for you. Okay, 76 lakhs going up by 1,400 times. 14 times. That's a big number. Charu.
Yeah. So we have a very interesting observation here, or rather a comment. Doing online courses will help to get an edge over others when the recruiter evaluates. Dr. Paul Dhinakaran, what do you think? Do you think, are contact classes or, physical, attending college physically, does it take, assume more importance than online programs given today's scenario? What would be your comment or projection?
Well, university is a temple of learning. It's not only learning courses, technologies, and so on. It's learning about life and being prepared for life. So nothing can beat a campus experience, which brings people together, and the aspect of tolerance, working together as a team, and getting things done. All this are learned in a campus environment, which helps them for life. So taking that aspect, you cannot just live on an online education. But of course, that online education helps to establish oneself. But then again, they have to go back and work in society. So there will be a gap between life and reality. Because many times when the recruiters come to our campus, because we are a fully campus-driven residential institution, they say one thing that really amazes us is the difference between a day college student and a residential college student. The residential college student easily forms a team and is patient and has a longer tenure with the company. So all that will be missing if the campus is taken off in terms of education online. But then for continuing education, online is going to be a great help. It's going to take people to the next level and so on. So that has to be done. And given this particular situation where we are in at the moment, for people to continue their education, complete their degrees and get into the industry, yes, we need to get into online education. And I think the teaching learning process has to be refined. It's not just getting onto a blackboard, standing before a camera and go on and so on. It has to be interactive. So the whole system, technology, everything has to be adapted towards that. And even the students who are online, if they can interact with each other and also talk about life and so on, that's going to help.
So another question for you. Is there a possibility to make online PhD thesis evaluation across the countries? So while we've got your views and your sentiments about, being on campus, but what about this? What about PhD thesis evaluation online?
At the moment in our university, we are doing that. We have Zoom meetings and so on. But I don't know. We're just introducing it. We do not know how effective it's going to be. So we're just testing, because you have to test the models and so on. And different types of PhD degrees have to be taken into account. So I don't have a ready-made answer for that. We'll have to get more insight from the professors and those who actually do it.
So that's food for thought. And a question for you, Dr. Prashant Bhalla. There is why should universities change? Because in our last seminar, somebody had said the more things change, the more they don't, the more they remain the same. So why should universities change? Because COVID or no COVID, at some point, business will be as usual. Would you like to comment, please?
I think change is something that is there in everybody's life, and that is very important. I personally feel this whole pandemic has changed our outlook towards this whole online. I don't think, if I talk about our system, today we have around 28,000 students who have adapted this online learning platform, and around like 8,000 faculty members who have really adapted to this change. Maybe if I look at the similar situation in a normal circumstances happening, and I try to push this thing in my own system, it wouldn't have worked like this. So I think, obviously, in terms of the situation, whenever something new comes in or new challenge comes in, it's about the human mind and about personally how you take it up, whether you take it as a challenge or you take it as an opportunity. So I personally feel like any change that comes in your life, it's important in a way that you should take the positive side of it, rather than maybe there might be some challenges. Obviously, there have been talks about why, because in K-12 also the same thing is happening. So why young kids have been exposed to this kind of technology challenge and the screen times and all that. So anything that comes in, it obviously will have some side challenges in terms of how the acceptance comes and what are the other views on different aspects of its implementation. So I think that is going to continue, but I think everybody should be receptive to any change that is desired, and we should take it as in a positive sense rather than looking at it as a problem or something like that. That's what I would.
Dr. Dheeraj Singh, I will ask, there are more questions coming in. When you were talking about C++, my daughter's in class 11 and she's now learning Python, and, she took computer sciences in her school. Now, what happens is that unless until, as you talk about, application happens, real life projects. So do you see this COVID and technology actually creating more projects? Every speaker has talked about employability, on how industry interaction will really lead to future ready students, so to say. And, again, Dr. Paul Dhinakaran talked about, the role of, hostels, people who gain life skills when they come to a campus, when they live in hostels. I can talk about my own example. I went to an engineering school like most people do, then went to a business school. And I did apply, I told you, in PC. I didn't get admission, sir. But that's okay. So just tell us that will the industry interaction go up because of what is happening? And if yes, what could be the benefits of it? Some are obvious, some that you can elucidate on.
I think the issue is really practical, right? Issue is whether you are practicing what you are learning. Okay. Now, for example, you talked about languages, C++ and Python and so on. I can tell you from my example, when I did my undergrad, this was 40 years ago. Okay. In my undergrad, I have written 50,000 lines of code. 50,000. 40 years ago, when my computer access was restricted to 2 hours a day. And even for those 2 hours a day, I had to stand in line in the computer center, outside the computer center at midnight. Every midnight, you had to go and do the booking for 2 hours. And if you slept off early, that day you won't get 2 hours, right? Under those situations, I have written 50,000 lines of code in my BTech. Today, when I interview people for MTech admissions and so on, and I ask them how many lines of code you have written in your BTech computer science, typical answer is 500 lines. So I think the issue is really, are you practicing what you are doing? Now, when we said are you practicing? If I'm teaching a data structures course, can I ask you to implement trees? Can I ask you to implement heaps? Can I ask you to implement hash functions and all that kind of stuff, right? If you do all that, you would be a great programmer and you can learn Python in no time at all. That was my point. I didn't say you should not do any practical stuff. Now, what happens is that somebody like me may say, give me any problem and I'm going to solve it, right? But some students might get motivated if I additionally tell them that this problem also has some real life value, right? So that's the only difference between industry project and non-industry project, that some students may feel more motivated if I tell them it has utility. But the point is, today, if you look at most universities, the data says 99% of BTech computer science cannot write 200 lines of code. So I'm saying that is the problem you should solve. And they don't write any code because you don't even check the program. They copy everything.
Got it, Dr. Singh.
So
Charu,
I think the issue is practicals. Issue is dirtying your hands. Issue is sitting in front of something and working hard. That's what you need. If that problem is real life, it will help, of course.
Thank you, Dr. Sanghi. Charu, question that you want to take. Lots of comments and questions.
Lots of comments and questions. So this is for Dr. Krishnan. In terms of change, designing our own curriculum, bringing in more modernity, bringing in more contemporary connects. What would be your take on it, and what would be your suggestions on this?
Yeah, actually, the curriculum, if we are talking nowadays, UGC giving the free autonomous to change the curriculum. But nowadays, what we are doing, that industry peoples are also there when designing the curriculum. So the curriculum is designed according to the local industry. But I can say that, as I told, that we are surrounded by villages where we have some few industries. So the industry people will come and design that curriculum according to their industry need. And also we are giving the freedom to update the syllabus frequently, which can help us, our students, to go for the immediately industry oriented jobs. Some of the students are getting very good idea about to start that, to develop an entrepreneur or to go for the incubators in the university. So I have to thank the government where they are giving a huge amount of fund to go for that entrepreneur development in the name of called RUSA, where we are getting a lot of money. So this is the way curriculum is now. They are giving all the freedom to the university to change according to their need.
So this is a question open to all, to anybody on everybody on the panel. I think Dr. Paul Dhinakaran and several others have touched upon research. In the Western world, there is a lot of incentivization. There are a lot of startup grants. There are, a lot being invested in research. We look at the quality of our papers. We lack intellectual integrity. So when it comes to solving, intractable problems that the country may face, we always look at external research done by someone else to solve our problems. What should be the focus in the future, and the university of the future on that, whatever it may take to change this?
Well, I would suggest this model. About a few years ago, we felt that the community has to be part of the university education, and the students should be given credits to touch the problems of, to touch people who are in pain. So the research should be towards finding solutions to human problems. It could be a mechanical problem, it could be a financial problem, it could be a social problem, it could be a technological problem. Unless the students are made to touch the people who are in pain, they cannot come up with a solution. So this way, they need not copy other projects. They can just go to the community or bring the community into the campus. Maybe have care homes where the university, like the CSRs, allocate some funds to care for these people right in the campus. And then the students go back to the labs, find solutions, and the faculty members are a part of this team. I believe these products are going to really change lives, and not only at the higher levels for people who can afford, but also at the lower levels. And that will really push up the economy of the country too, and we'll become unique.
Thank you. Thank you so much. One last question for Dr. Raghav Gupta, Mr. Raghav Gupta, and then we'll kind of do a round robin and summarize. We've seen a lot of comments, and so would have you, on the quality of online courses, on the channels, on the Swayam channels. What would be your suggestion on improving that?
So I'd like to say two things to start with. To teach online is easy, but to teach high quality online is not easy. And second, I'd like to say that a lecture which is taken in a class, which might be 45 minutes, 60 minutes, if that is recorded and put online, it doesn't work. And possibly the reason that we see some of the comments, and I was looking at them as well, talking about low quality in online, are coming from that. I think it takes a lot of research, a lot of investment. I was saying this earlier, it is a little bit like Harvard and Hollywood coming together, where a combination of what will engage learners and is coming from high quality faculty is what needs to work. And what we've seen so far is institutions, universities who've been leading in this space have been working on this for a while. So universities overseas and also increasingly in India, Indian School of Business and IIM Calcutta are now teaching on the Coursera platform. And we're going to be announcing a few new partners going forward as well. They have departments of online education. They have people who understand instructional design for online education. They have high quality production capabilities. It is not the same as standing in front of a Zoom camera and teaching, because that is a very different experience. I have two kids at home who are currently taking online live classes, and they are cribbing as well, because you can't do that all day long. And so some of that is, I think, where we are hearing the comments around quality of online content coming from.
Thank you so much, everybody. And from Businessworld, we thank the teams at Businessworld, we thank the teams at Primus, and we thank our panelists and everybody who has attended and shared their comments and chat. Anurag, like to leave the floor open to you, please, if you can.
I'd like each of the panelists, and we can start in, we gave Dr. Dheeraj Sanghi the last chance, so we'll give him the first chance. What are your 2 recommendations to the UGC chairman? What are your recommendations, if you do 1, 2, 3, so that it becomes real? I mean, I'm seeing the comments on SWAYAM. A lot of people are saying the SWAYAM content is not good. I can't not use it, so I cannot comment. But, you know, what are your 1, 2, 3 recommendations in a constructive, positive way to the UGC chairman? I want to go around the house and complete that.
I think autonomy is number 1 thing. We have talked about, you know, that many of us kind of will say in public forum that we have a lot of autonomy and so on and so forth. We don't. Okay. So, for example, you know, there's this issue of why is SWAYAM not being used or online education not being used? As a college, you don't decide your curriculum. The university decides the curriculum, and therefore, university curriculum and the course even has slight differences. You can't use that, right?
Sure. So you are saying more flexibility, even more flexibility in designing curriculum and courses, and leaving it to the universities, right?
Yes. And
do I hear you right?
This number 2 thing, specifically about this online stuff, I think many people have also pointed it out. 20% is too little. They should recommend, you know, you can go up to 40-50%. Not just, and they should not mention SWAYAM. I know as a government institution, they probably want to just say government. I think they should say online from anywhere. I mean, whether it's edX or whether it's Coursera, whether it is somewhere else. I should be able to take online courses from IIT Bombay. Why can't I directly have a relationship with IIT Bombay, right? So I think not SWAYAM, any online provider, and at least 40-50%.
Thank you. Mr. Paul, Dr. Paul Dhinakaran, your specific recommendations?
First of all, I'd like to thank you, Dr. Annurag and Madam Charu, for coming up with these questions. They are really thought-provoking and a beautiful forum, and you have made us to think too. Thank you so much. One recommendation is today we have several types of universities, and yardsticks are applied in different ways, and facilities are provided to different universities in different ways. One, the public universities, the other, the deemed universities, then you have unitary universities, and so on. If all universities can be given autonomy to bring in courses and finally an accreditation which evaluates the university, that would be just fantastic. And secondly, practice along with the teaching has to be inducted in both. And also, especially with regard to engineering, like any other college, engineering college, the universities, the deemed universities are asked to go and apply for new courses and check the content and use those degrees alone. And there's no possibility for development. Again, autonomy is in question with regard to engineering courses. If that would also be considered, just like the UGC programs for deemed universities, to give autonomy to the deemed universities to go ahead and provide those education, it would be just wonderful.
Fantastic. Raghav, your recommendations? There's one positive recommendation from Dr. Paul Dhinakaran, said, you know, upgrading courses from any online player should be welcome, not just the government, you know. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, I would say, I think it's important to build a scenario where possibly social distancing may stay for 6 months, 1 year, or even longer. My sense is that 5% universities came into the lockdown ready for a situation like this. And maybe another 15-20% have quickly learned and figured out what to do. But my sense is that there are probably 75-80% universities in the country who today don't know what to do and are hoping and praying that this is a temporary situation of lockdown and social distancing. But the reality is this is going to change many, many things, and higher education is one of them. And I think we need a broader guidance from the UGC on what should institutions be doing to get ready for a long-term social distancing scenario. I would also say that they don't need to develop all this themselves. There is a lot of expertise which is available, whether it be strategic thinkers, whether it be technology platforms, whether it be senior academicians. And I think leverage that. That would be a good thing to do.
Dr. Bhalla, Dr. Prashant Bhalla.
I think few points have already been said regarding autonomy. And I think that's something that I also mentioned and I endorse. And regarding this increase of online percentage, I think the chairman himself mentioned that they are looking at it and looking at increasing it and all. And I think this was also again a valid point regarding other players, like why only Swayam? Because there are other quality platforms also, like that could be assigned credits, because this is a challenge that we are also seeing. But I think I personally feel if the education policy that has already been talked about for long, if it comes out, I think it mostly covers.
And it factors all that in that is being discussed.
So, yeah, I personally feel that this differentiator point that came in, because it's in our country only that we have deemed universities and public universities and private universities. So basically, you should have one structure. If you are a university, then you have a purpose. And why this different name? Because when we are a deemed university, we go out internationally and we say we are a deemed university. They say, when will you become full university? We have all the power.
Right.
Unnecessarily, this nomenclature is something that creates confusion.
Sure, simplify it, unify it, and have one benchmark. Got it. Last but not the least, the Madurai Kamaraj University, very old university. Since the time I've been born, I've been hearing its name. My parents are academicians, so I hear university's name more than other people. Sir, your final closing comments?
Yeah.
Mr. Krishnan.
Thank you very much, sir, for thank you very much, sir, for giving such a wonderful opportunity.
Nandri.
Hello.
I'll say
Hello.
Nandri to you. Nandri.
Nandri. Yeah, Nandri. Nandri Vanakkam.
Nandri
Vanakkam. Yeah.
I know some more words.
Yes.
But your final comments, sir.
Yeah, sir, thank you very much, sir, for giving this opportunity. I want to give you some suggestion to the UGC and also Government of India. Number one, technology should reach all the nook and corner of the villages. Then only online program will be having the success. Number two, teachers also should get the training to getting into the online program. So UGC should take care of that, how we are going to train the teachers to get into that online teaching and how it's going to be implemented, very heavily to the students. Number three, because as I told that frequently, all the students, it's very difficult to enter to the online. So Center for Excellence can be developed in different parts of India, particularly near to the universities, where all the university come together, work together, where they should have the facilities for cutting edge research, where as Madam told that, we can reach that what our thesis or research output will international level. So these are some of the points where we can take it. So wherever we are going, the final point that whether it's online or it's we are going for the student
hybrid model, fixed, physical infrastructure plus technology, hybrid mix.
Right. But it should oriented with the societal research, and it should go to the society.
Thank you so much. Charu, you are an expert in this domain too. So if you want to add to what the other panelists have said and close it, I'd welcome that, because you really know this domain very well.
Thank you, Anurag. I think everything has been said, everything that really needed to be said, and the message for UGC. I think every bit of it has been said, and all I can say is I echo every bit of it and look forward to meeting with everybody soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Raghav Gupta. Thank you, Dr. Paul Dhinakaran. Thank you, Dr. Dheeraj Sanghi. Thank you, Mr. Kumaran. Thank you, Dr. Bhalla. BW Education and Primus. Look forward to another Wednesday of Wednesday Wisdom. We'll see you next week. There are lots of questions. There are 41 questions. Dr. Sanghi has already given his email ID. You as panelists are, free to interact. And if there are questions, we'll funnel it to you. We couldn't take all the questions. There are questions on mental health. people are also evangelizing what they're doing. So we'll bring all the relevant questions to you. The coverage will be on bweducation.com and businessworld.in and in both the magazines. So we look forward to taking this content and your suggestions and your ideas to a larger ecosystem. Thank you. Good evening. God bless you. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
ஒரு நம்பர்